Hey everyone, Julien here, nurse practitioner for Danesthetics Medical, and we are ready to have a chat with the one and only Anusha NP. And if you're not aware of who she is world renowned in the field of injectables. In my opinion, I think she's actually one of the best in the field when it comes to full face treatments with injectables. She does absolutely everything and she does it really well. Consistent natural results where it's actually visible. You can see that something has been done. However, whenever the client leaves, and I guarantee whenever they go home, people can't really put their finger what was done. It looks amazing, and that's pretty special. And I've been following her for a while now, and I'm very honored and humbled that she's going to come on and do a little Instagram live with us. And we're going to chat. We're going to chat about basically, what brought her into this field and how she got started, injection techniques, and how she approaches the face, and everything else that goes around this injectables field. Hello, how are you?
Wow, what an introduction.
Oh, I'm serious. No, I'm a big fan of yours.
Yeah, I remember knocking on your back in Paris and you're like, who the hell is knocking on your back, right?
That's exactly what, and this is actually, so I actually asked you to do one of these prior to that. You're like, yeah, no problem, let's do it. And then after that, I'm sitting with Dr. Josh and like tapping. I'm like, hey, how's it going? And then Josh like, it's Anusha. I'm like, no, I had no idea it was you. And I tried to track you down. Okay, cool. So you're in West LA, right? So you are the CEO and founder of Skin Specifics. And that's been going on for like 20 years now?
I know. Amazing, right?
Amazing. How did that start?
So, I had no idea about aesthetics, and I was in the ER for 15, I don't know, 20 years as well. And I was doing actually some overseas work in Burma, Thailand, Southern Africa. And one of the physicians we actually took is a surgeon. We took him to teach us how to do landmine amputations because they were victims of landmines and we needed to know how to do field amputations. And he was the guy we took from LA to Burma, and he taught us to do it. And one of those nights, he's like, you should go into this Botox stuff, join the wave. And I was like, what the hell's Botox, first of all? That was really it. We came back, and I continued to work in the ER, and he said, come spend time with me. And so I did, and literally a year later, I started my own thing. He's like, go do your own thing. I'm like, what?
So did he feel that, you had something special going on, and he was confident and encouraged you to kind of do your own thing because he saw what skill you had?
I have no idea. I think, frankly, right, everybody just, at that time, you just did it. I mean, he's an older guy who just thought, he talked to me about later, and when you have kids, and it was more for him like life advice. Frankly, right, you wonder for the first 10 years of it, did you really know what you were doing? It was scary, right? Now to think back, thank God we were not injecting all the areas like we did, but we were still injecting dangerous areas. And I never had a vascular occlusion. I mean, I feel like, wow, I was lucky. You were just not risky.
For you, you have such a really nice natural approach. I feel that what I was drawn to is that you really approach the face similarly to I do. I do a lot of drawings. I do systematic review with my clients who are willing to do that. And I really liked your drawings, how you draw everything out. And I'm a big advocate for that. I encourage all providers to make drawings where you go. It's kind of like just keeps you precise, keeps you connected. So I feel like you've got like an Arthur Swift thing going, but at the same time, your own. And I want to know more about that. What is that?
So when I first started, none of the companies never ever helped. They were not ever helping small businesses. So I had to really figure this out. And I am such a slow learner, which then piled on even more extra time. But the one thing I did do 10 years ago, funny you should mention Arthur Swift, I did his aesthetic blueprint. And then I thought, wow, this is a whole nother way I could look at things, right? I was never the person who did cheeks, and lips. I just did little bits everywhere. I think what I saw is always those transition zones. I was always working in those transition zones and then almost almost like the structural stuff for me almost became secondary, which I think made the results more natural, even without me knowing it. And sometimes patients wouldn't really see the big difference, but I did. And in general, they were happy. And I think they've got even more happy and happier now because now we kind of, backing away from those huge cheeks and huge, everything. So we're appreciating now the subtleties, right?
Absolutely. I find whenever I have clients coming, especially the lower face, like anything around here, this is such a delicate area where you can just overdo it easily. So it's fine tuning, and it's almost to the point where I know it looks great, but I'm like, I hope they see what I see. And then you give them the mirror, and they're always like, oh, this is amazing. I'm like, okay, good.
But yes, it is sometimes hard to have them see it. But then I think as they take their photos and they see, it's not like a dramatic when they leave, but I show them the photos too, right?
That's right. I find I have an intention where I give them the mirror. Then after that, I go stand over there actually at the wall. Yeah. That's a second view. And then after that, I show them before and afters. Right. And if not all three, then at least one of them is going to let them know, hey, by the way, this is what we're doing here. Right. And it's subtle work, but at the same time, it's so worth it, which is my next point. Right, a lot of people are afraid of looking puffed up with dermal fillers, HA dermal fillers these days. Right. What's your approach with clients to give them reassurance that won't happen in your hands? And how do you see dermal fillers in the future?
There was a time where you just injected one syringe and then you went to multiple syringes. And then I think we're kind of coming back to, what? The worst fear when I would come in and is when they do this, right?
Yeah.
And literally my heart sinks. I just kind of want to almost bow out of the room when they do this. And I like a lift is a dirty word for me. I just kind of absolutely promise them that I'm not going to lift their face. Mm-hmm. I say I can recontour things. I can change the light reflex. I don't even say I'm going to beautify you because I think beauty is actually still to me so elusive. We know when we see it, but to construct it, I think we may be fooling ourselves. I think we can make people look certainly refreshed and less tired and not angry. This beautification thing still eludes me. It's that sweetness, tender beauty that I really enjoy. And I don't know whether we can create it. Often turn away these young, gorgeous faces. The other day I had this, gorgeous 28-year-old, and she's had a few things done and she looks perfect, but she started kind of pointing out to like temple. Does she have temple recession? Yes, but she's 28. Would that add so much more to her beauty, right? I'm like, no, this is fine, right?
Yeah.
There'll be time for things, but I'm not going to do your temples. Go enjoy the angles, right? It's not add so much more. You're old lady and 11. I am not going to make you a 12 for sure. I may downgrade you if I do it.
So do you feel generally that fillers don't lift?
Look, I'm sure in some kind of study that they can show that. Yeah. But is it a reality that we can actually see? To do that, you're going to need some significant amount of filler all in that lateral space, right? All the way down. It's also then becomes an ethical thing for me. My question is that worth it for this patient, right? For me to do that much. And as much as people don't want to do facelifts, it's just not a space I want to be in to promise them that. And, like sometimes, how they say, oh, my other instructor said, if you could put some here, that will completely take this away. And I'm like, well, I can give you some mid-face kind of volume and take that light reflex to a little higher position. And you get done. And guess what they're looking at? They really think this has got better.
You know what? I really don't think fillers lift at all. I think I still go to all these conferences, and there's always at least a few of them are like, put it back here, it's going to give you lift, and after that we can volume contour over here. And I don't really think it does that at all. Yeah. I think that both you and I do a pretty good job of giving the illusion of lift. And the reason why is because we're just redirecting where the eye wants to go, right? So the eye tends to go either to the eyes right away, or it goes inadvertently down and then back up being polite. And if it's down and up, it's because you have signs pointing there, which are usually 11s, nasolabial folds, marionettes, and then a gel. And if that's the case, then your eye really wants to go down.
Yeah.
So I tell all my clients, listen, I can't do that. What I can do is I can mask the eye from going from here, and I can train it to go to here. And how can I do that? With subtle work. Well, let's take care of the 11s with some toxin. We can go ahead and reposition the apex of the cheek where the light reflex should be, which is here, and I'm just going to guide it there by placing a little bit just in areas where I think that there's volume loss, and that's it. Soften this a little bit by just propping up the piriform. Soften this a little bit, mask this, and all of a sudden, boom, your eye's just like here all of a sudden, and you really didn't change much. And for me, back here, the only time I ever really want to do anything back here is maybe if I feel the gonial angle really needs to be, redone. For most women, honestly, whenever I'm redoing a jawline, I actually hesitate of doing that gonial angle because it's too masculine. It's that snatch sharp look really doesn't look good. I love doing here a little bit behind the jowl, just where that little dip is, where the notch is, and then all of a sudden I just let it be, and all of a sudden it really lifts the face. It's beautiful. I don't have to do anything up here because most of the time it's pretty flat here for the most part. And if I do feel that, guess what? The hollows look temple. This looks hollow. You're filling the face, and all of a sudden, boom, the face is huge. So if I can avoid that as much as possible, then that's my go-to. But you can definitely create the illusion of lift. I don't think it's and I think that's how I try and approach not overfilling the face. Well, thank you so much, Anusha. Everyone, thanks for stopping by. Listen, I hope that we get to meet up soon again and chat some more in a new conference. And hopefully I get to go to Subio's conference in the near future. But keep in touch. I'll keep in touch with you too. And that's it for us.
Thank you.
Cheers, everyone. Take care. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.